You know that smile. The fake one.
The one people make right after opening a gift and thinking, why? Have you ever given a present that made the room go quiet? A gift that made sense in your head, but sounded like an insult out loud? Something you handed over proudly while the other person tried to figure out whether they should thank you or reassess the relationship. A scale that said, I care. A kitchen appliance that said, I didn't listen. A book that said, I love you, but you need work. And be honest, have you ever opened a gift and thought, oh, this explains a lot? Because the dumbest gifts aren't cheap. They're revealing. They expose what you weren't supposed to say at the exact moment you were supposed to say nothing. These are 45 gifts that didn't just miss the mark. They hit something much worse. Let's start with the ones that people laughed at first and remembered forever. Fact 1. The game console that was for us. On a quiet Friday night in a small Ohio apartment, a woman opened her anniversary gift on the couch they shared every evening. Inside was a brand new game console. Her boyfriend beamed and said, "It's for us." The problem was simple. She didn't play games. He did, a lot. She smiled, nodded, and immediately understood what "us" meant in that sentence. Within a week, the console had a permanent spot. She didn't. Ask yourself, have you ever given a gift that secretly solved your boredom? He thought he was sharing joy. She received a schedule update. Less attention, more loading screens. The gift wasn't cheap. It wasn't careless. It was revealing. Because nothing says romance like unboxing proof that someone knows their own hobbies better than their partner. Fact 2. The bathroom scale that ended the evening early. During a birthday dinner at a crowded restaurant in Toronto, a man handed his girlfriend a neatly wrapped box across the table. Inside was a digital bathroom scale. He laughed and said it was for motivation. The laughter did not continue. Nearby conversations paused. Dessert was canceled. The ride home was silent. Ask yourself, when did health become a surprise topic? In his head, the gift was practical and supportive. In reality, it sounded like an unsolicited performance review. The scale worked perfectly. The relationship didn't. The dumb part wasn't the object. It was the timing, the audience, and the confidence. Because a gift that measures weight will always measure something else too. Awareness. Fact 3. The vacuum cleaner Valentine. On Valentine's Day in suburban Texas, a woman opened a heart-shaped card followed by a large box from the garage. Inside was a vacuum cleaner. Her husband proudly explained it was top-rated and would make life easier. She stared at it, then at him. Ask yourself, have you ever confused usefulness with affection? The vacuum worked beautifully. It cleaned floors. It also cleaned out any remaining romance in the room. Friends later joked about it. She didn't. The problem wasn't the appliance. It was the message hidden inside. This is what I notice about our life together. Some gifts say, I see you. This one said, I see chores. Fact 4. The regift that brought an ex back to life. At a Christmas party in New York, a woman unwrapped a scarf from her boyfriend in front of friends. It was soft, expensive, and embroidered with another woman's initials. The room went quiet. He froze. She smiled slowly. Ask yourself, how much attention does a gift require? He explained it was brand new, and he forgot about the initials. Unfortunately, the initials remembered. The scarf wasn't reused. The argument was. The gift resurrected a person who was supposed to stay in the past. The dumb part wasn't being cheap. It was assuming memory lapses don't come with receipts. Fact 5. The self-help book nobody asked for. On a calm Sunday morning in a Los Angeles condo, a woman handed her boyfriend a wrapped gift, just because. Inside was a self-help book about emotional maturity in relationships. He laughed politely. Then he stopped laughing. Ask yourself, have you ever given feedback disguised as a present? She meant growth. He heard criticism. The book sat unread on a shelf, silently judging both of them. The gift didn't start the argument, but it gave it a title. Because advice hits differently when it arrives wrapped in paper and expectation. The dumbest gifts aren't insults, they're essays. Fact 6. The sports tickets that picked a side. On a Saturday morning in a cramped Chicago kitchen, a man handed his partner 2 tickets for their anniversary. Front row. Big game. He was excited. She stared at the logo and immediately knew the problem. It was his team. She'd never watched a full match. Ask yourself, have you ever wrapped your own enthusiasm and called it romance? He said it was an experience gift. She heard 4 hours of pretending. The tickets weren't cheap, and they weren't accidental. They were honest in the wrong direction. The night ended with cheers from one seat and polite clapping from the other. The gift didn't start a fight. It started a quiet realization. Sharing time isn't the same as sharing interests. Fact 7. The skincare set with a message. During a low-key birthday at home in Vancouver, a woman opened a pastel gift bag from her girlfriend. Inside was a full anti-aging skincare set, premium brand, very specific purpose. The thank you came out slower than expected. Ask yourself, when did "I love you" turn into "you should fix this"? The giver meant care. The receiver heard commentary. The creams went into the bathroom cabinet, unopened, like evidence nobody wanted to discuss. The dumb part wasn't skincare. It was deciding someone else's insecurities for them, because nothing says celebration like being reminded of time. Fact 8. The gift card that ended the dinner. At a noisy birthday dinner in Miami, a man slid a small envelope across the table to his wife. Inside was a gift card. Not to a spa, not to a favorite store, to a gas station. He shrugged and said, "You drive a lot." Ask yourself, have you ever reduced someone to logistics? The table went quiet. The waiter returned at the wrong moment. The gift wasn't offensive, it was deflating. It said effort was optional, romance was outsourced. The card worked perfectly. The moment didn't. Some gifts don't insult you. They remind you how replaceable the effort felt. Fact 9. The hobby starter kit nobody wanted. On a rainy evening in a Seattle apartment, a woman opened a large box from her boyfriend labeled, "Surprise!" Inside was a full starter kit for his favorite hobby. Tools, accessories, instructions. He said, "Now we can do it together." Ask yourself, have you ever tried to recruit love into your interests? She smiled and nodded, already tired. The kit sat untouched for months. He got frustrated. She felt guilty. The gift wasn't about togetherness. It was about convenience. Because sharing a hobby works best when both people asked for it. Fact 10. The clothing size guess that went wrong. At a holiday gathering in London, a man proudly handed his girlfriend a wrap dress in front of family. She opened it. Wrong size. Very wrong. He joked, "We can exchange it." Ask yourself, why guess when asking is free? The room laughed. She didn't. The dress became a story retold at every gathering, never kindly. The dumb part wasn't the size, it was the public confidence. Because when a gift fits poorly, it doesn't just hang wrong, it stays. Fact 11. The cooking class that wasn't a compliment. On a cold Tuesday night in a Brooklyn apartment, a man handed his girlfriend an envelope after dinner. Inside was a prepaid cooking class. He smiled and said, "I thought this would be useful." The silence arrived immediately. Ask yourself, when did useful become romantic? She already cooked every night. He rarely helped. In his head, this was encouragement. In hers, it was feedback disguised as generosity. The class was never booked. The argument was. For weeks afterward, every meal carried a quiet subtext. Is this good enough now? The gift wasn't cheap. It wasn't lazy. It was honest in a way nobody requested. Because when a present sounds like training, it stops being a gift and starts being a performance review. Fact 12. The shared subscription that shared nothing. During a casual anniversary breakfast in a San Diego cafe, a woman excitedly told her boyfriend she got them a shared gift. She handed him login details for a streaming service. The catch? It was entirely content she watched. He stared at the screen, nodded, and paid for brunch. Ask yourself, have you ever given access instead of effort? The subscription worked perfectly. The mood didn't. Weeks later, he realized he was paying for half of something he never used. The dumb part wasn't the service, it was calling it togetherness. Because sharing a password isn't the same as sharing intention, no matter how cheerful the receipt looks. Fact 13. The baby book that jumped the timeline. At a family barbecue in suburban Florida, a woman opened a gift from her long-term boyfriend in front of relatives. Inside was a book about parenting. No conversation had happened, no plans had been agreed on. The smiles froze. Ask yourself, when did a gift become a proposal without consent? He said it was for the future. She heard pressure. The book disappeared into a drawer. The questions didn't. Family started asking. Expectations shifted. The relationship didn't survive the year. The dumb part wasn't the topic, it was skipping the conversation. Because gifts that jump timelines don't feel thoughtful, they feel like traps wrapped in optimism. Fact 14. The cleaning schedule that masqueraded as love. On a Sunday afternoon in a small Manchester flat, a woman handed her partner a neatly laminated cleaning schedule as a fun surprise. Color-coded, efficient, brutal. Ask yourself, who opens a gift and learns their flaws? She meant harmony. He heard judgment. The chart stayed on the fridge for 3 days before vanishing. The resentment stayed longer. The gift didn't improve cleanliness. It clarified power dynamics. Because when love arrives laminated, it stops feeling optional. It feels enforced. Fact 15. The engagement ring that was clearly on sale. During a romantic weekend in Paris, a man proposed with a ring still bearing a clearance sticker. He laughed nervously and said, "It was a great deal." Ask yourself, why do some details refuse to be ignored? She said yes. Then she didn't. The ring became a symbol, not of frugality, but of priorities. The breakup came months later, long after the sticker was removed. The dumb part wasn't saving money. It was forgetting that symbols don't negotiate. Because some moments don't want honesty, they want care. Fact 16. The motivation planner that killed the weekend. On a lazy Saturday morning in a Denver townhouse, a woman handed her boyfriend a wrapped box before coffee. Inside was a productivity planner labeled, "Become your best self." Tabs, deadlines, inspirational quotes. He stared at it like a subpoena. Ask yourself, since when does love arrive with homework? She meant support. He heard dissatisfaction. The weekend died quietly. Plans were canceled. The planner sat untouched on the counter, judging everyone. The dumb part wasn't organization. It was turning affection into a project. Because when a gift implies improvement, the receiver hears failure, even if the cover says, motivation. Fact 17. The DIY furniture set that reopened old wounds. During a housewarming in a cramped Berlin apartment, a man proudly gifted his partner a flat-pack furniture set. "We'll build it together," he said. Ask yourself, have you ever mistaken stress for bonding? Screws were missing. Instructions were unclear. Voices rose. Neighbors learned names. The shelf leaned forever, like the memory of that afternoon. The gift wasn't cheap. It wasn't thoughtless. It was optimistic in a way reality punishes. Because nothing tests love faster than tiny hex keys and unmet expectations. Fact 18. The surprise trip that ignored one small detail. At a busy office in Singapore, a woman surprised her boyfriend with plane tickets after work. He smiled until he saw the destination. It was a place he'd openly said he hated. Ask yourself, how often do surprises skip listening? She wanted adventure. He wanted comfort. The trip happened anyway. Photos were taken. Complaints were internal. The relationship didn't recover. The dumb part wasn't travel. It was assuming excitement is universal. Because a gift can be expensive and still feel careless if it ignores a sentence already spoken. Fact 19. The pet that became a responsibility bomb. On a quiet Sunday afternoon in Melbourne, a man surprised his girlfriend with a puppy. Family gasped. She froze. Ask yourself, when did responsibility become a gift? He meant joy. She saw schedules, vet bills, and 10 years of obligation. The puppy was adorable. The timing was catastrophic. Arguments followed. Sleepless nights arrived. The relationship ended. The dog stayed. The dumb part wasn't the animal. It was mistaking commitment for romance. Because gifts shouldn't outlive consent. Fact 20. The budget spreadsheet that ended the conversation. During a candlelit anniversary dinner at home in Dublin, a woman handed her partner a printed spreadsheet labeled Our Financial Future. Color-coded, thorough, ruthless. Ask yourself, who opens a gift and sees their spending habits highlighted? She meant teamwork. He felt audited. The wine went untouched. The evening dissolved into defensiveness. The spreadsheet was accurate. The moment wasn't appropriate. Because some truths belong in conversations, not envelopes. And some gifts don't say, I love you. They say, we need to talk, which is never what you want to unwrap. Fact 21. The couple's therapy voucher on date night. On a Friday night at a busy London restaurant, a man handed his girlfriend an envelope before the appetizers arrived. Inside was a prepaid couples therapy voucher. He smiled like he'd just saved the relationship with a discount code. Ask yourself, have you ever tried to fix a problem by wrapping it in paper? She didn't yell. She just went silent in a way that made the table feel louder. He said it was for us, like therapy was a spa package. The waiter returned at the worst possible time. Dessert was canceled. The argument lasted 3 days. The therapy never happened. The breakup did. The dumb part wasn't therapy. It was treating it like a cute surprise instead of a conversation. Because nothing says romance like unwrapping proof you've been audited emotionally. Fact 22. The new clothes gift with a hidden standard. At a crowded family Christmas in Toronto, a woman unwrapped a set of clothes from her boyfriend. They were all one size smaller than what she wore. He laughed and said, "They'll fit soon." The room did that polite cough laugh people do when they can't believe someone said it out loud. Ask yourself, have you ever watched a gift turn into a comment? He meant motivation. She heard disapproval. Photos from that night still exist, and her smile in them is doing unpaid acting. The clothes were returned. The memory wasn't. The dumb part wasn't sizing, it was confidence. Because if your gift needs a future version of someone to be acceptable, you didn't buy a present. You bought pressure. Fact 23. The gift that accidentally included the X. On a quiet Sunday in a New York apartment, a man surprised his partner with a framed photo from our trip. She opened it and froze. In the corner of the picture was his ex, cropped badly, still visible like a ghost with great posture. He insisted it was an honest mistake. Ask yourself, how often do you reuse the past and expect nobody to notice? The frame didn't last the day. The questions lasted weeks. Every "I forgot" became suspicious. The dumb part wasn't the photo. It was bringing history into the living room and calling it romance. Because nothing kills intimacy faster than unboxing proof that someone's editing skills are worse than their judgment. Fact 24. The surprise party that was really a trap. At a small apartment in Sydney, a woman told her boyfriend she planned a surprise party just for him. He walked in and realized it wasn't for him. It was for her friends, her music, her vibe. He stood there smiling like a guest at his own life. Ask yourself, have you ever used someone's birthday as a stage? The night went fine on the surface. Then the post-party silence arrived. He couldn't complain without sounding ungrateful. She couldn't admit it wasn't about him. The dumb part wasn't the party, it was the disguise. Because a gift that makes the receiver feel like an extra is just a performance with wrapping paper. Fact 25. The ring that wasn't a ring. During an anniversary weekend in Paris, a man gave his girlfriend a small jewelry box. Her brain did what brains do. It assumed engagement. She opened it. Inside was a promise ring with a note about not being ready yet. Ask yourself, why hand someone hope in a box and then ask them to manage it politely? She smiled. Then she cried. Then she got quiet in the way that makes a room feel too honest. The trip continued, but it turned into two people sightseeing while avoiding eye contact. The dumb part wasn't commitment. It was packaging hesitation as a celebration. Because the only thing worse than no ring is a box that briefly convinces you there was one. Fact 26. The self-care gift that felt like a diagnosis. On a quiet Tuesday evening in a small Portland apartment, a woman handed her boyfriend a gift bag after work. Inside was a self-care kit, stress tea, sleep mask, anxiety journal. She smiled and said, "I worry about you." He smiled back, then stopped. Ask yourself, when does concern start sounding like a diagnosis? In her mind, it was love. In his, it was a list of flaws. The kit sat untouched on the coffee table like medical paperwork. Over the next weeks, every tired moment felt observed. Every bad day felt documented. The dumb part wasn't caring. It was assuming someone wants their struggles wrapped and labeled. Because a gift meant to calm someone down can quietly tell them they're too much to handle. Fact 27. The cooking appliance for someone who doesn't cook. At a loud family birthday dinner in Naples, a man presented his girlfriend with a high-end pasta machine. Applause followed. She laughed politely. He said, "You'll love it once you learn." Ask yourself, who opens a gift and hears a to-do list? She hated cooking. He loved eating. The machine stayed boxed while relatives kept asking about all the pasta she must be making now. The dumb part wasn't the appliance. It was assigning a role instead of giving a gift. Because nothing kills romance faster than being drafted into unpaid labor with applause. Fact 28. The experience gift that ignored a fear. On a sunny morning in San Diego, a woman surprised her partner with skydiving tickets for their anniversary. She was thrilled. He went pale. Heights terrified him. Ask yourself, when did excitement replace listening? She said it would be life-changing. He nodded, already regretting every smile. The jump never happened. The resentment did. Friends heard the story. Jokes followed. Trust thinned. The dumb part wasn't adrenaline. It was assuming love should override fear. Because a gift that requires bravery the receiver didn't consent to isn't generous. It's pressure with a waiver. Fact 29. The office chair that redefined romance. During a quiet Christmas morning in a Tokyo apartment, a woman unwrapped a large box from her husband. Inside was an ergonomic office chair. He explained it would help her posture. Ask yourself, how did we get from affection to ergonomics? The chair was expensive. It was thoughtful, in a workplace sense. It also confirmed that romance had officially clocked out. The dumb part wasn't practicality. It was forgetting that gifts communicate priorities. Because when your holiday surprise belongs in a corporate catalog, the relationship starts feeling like a benefits package. Fact 30. The couple's journal that became evidence. On a rainy Sunday in Dublin, a man gave his partner a couple's journal designed to strengthen communication. Prompts, questions, weekly reflections. She flipped through it and immediately knew what this was. Ask yourself, have you ever been handed homework as intimacy? They filled out 3 pages. Then came arguments about the answers. Then silence. The journal ended up in a drawer, heavy with unspoken things. The dumb part wasn't self-reflection. It was forcing it. Because a relationship doesn't need prompts when people are already talking. And when they aren't, a notebook won't save it. Fact 31. The relationship book that read like an accusation. On a quiet weeknight in a San Jose condo, a woman handed her boyfriend a neatly wrapped book, just because. The title was about becoming a better partner. He flipped it open and immediately recognized highlighted sections. Ask yourself, who wants their flaws pre-bookmarked? She said it was interesting. He heard, assigned reading. The book lived on the coffee table like a silent witness. Every disagreement pointed back to page numbers nobody wanted to quote. The dumb part wasn't self-improvement, it was turning feedback into literature. Because when advice arrives gift-wrapped, it doesn't feel supportive, it feels documented. Fact 32. The language course that changed the power balance. During a birthday brunch in Madrid, a man surprised his partner with enrollment in a language course, for her. He said it would help her fit in better. The smile lasted 2 seconds. Ask yourself, when does help become correction? She'd never asked. The course started. The tension did too. Every mispronunciation felt judged. Every conversation felt like a test. The dumb part wasn't learning. It was deciding someone needed it as a surprise. Because gifts that fix someone quietly announce who's in charge. Fact 33. The closet clean-out. Disguised as a gift. On a Sunday afternoon in a Paris apartment, a woman presented her partner with a sleek wardrobe organizer. She explained it would streamline his look. He heard, "Your clothes embarrass me." Ask yourself, why do some gifts sound like edits to a person? The organizer worked, the mood didn't. Clothes disappeared. Confidence did too. The dumb part wasn't organization, it was control wearing a bow. Because a present that rearranges someone's identity never stays about shelves. Fact 34. The personality test package that went public. At a dinner party in Melbourne, a man announced his gift loudly. Personality tests to understand each other better. Guests leaned in. Results were shared. Labels stuck. Ask yourself, who wants their traits ranked between courses? The night turned awkward. Jokes followed. The tests outlived the party. The dumb part wasn't curiosity, it was exposure. Because insight without consent becomes entertainment, and entertainment is rarely kind. Fact 35. The budgeting app that reframed trust. During a calm anniversary evening in Zurich, a woman gifted her partner a premium subscription to a budgeting app, already linked to both their accounts. She said it was for transparency. Ask yourself, when did romance start with permissions? He nodded, then locked down his passwords. The app tracked everything. So did the arguments. The dumb part wasn't money, it was surveillance dressed as teamwork. Because trust doesn't download well, and gifts that monitor tend to outlast the affection that justified them. Fact 36. The surprise proposal upgrade that backfired publicly. During a crowded birthday dinner at a trendy restaurant in Los Angeles, a man handed his girlfriend a small box and told everyone to watch. Phones came out, smiles locked in. She opened it expecting a ring. Inside was a necklace and a speech about not rushing things. Ask yourself, why invite an audience to disappointment? The room froze. Applause died mid-breath. She smiled like a professional. The relationship didn't last the month. The dumb part wasn't commitment hesitation. It was staging it. Because a gift that briefly lets someone believe their life is about to change, then corrects them publicly, isn't honest. It's cruel with mood lighting. Fact 37. The couple's tattoo idea that ended the conversation. On a relaxed Sunday afternoon in a Brighton apartment, a woman surprised her boyfriend with a printed tattoo design, matching initials. She said it would be fun. Ask yourself, when did permanence become playful? He laughed nervously. She didn't. The rest of the day collapsed into quiet tension. Friends found out. Opinions poured in. Pressure mounted. The dumb part wasn't tattoos, it was ambush. Because gifts that demand irreversible decisions don't feel romantic. They feel like traps with ink. The relationship didn't survive the discussion phase. The design never left the printer. The idea did all the damage by itself. Fact 38. The house key that meant something else. During a casual anniversary walk in a rainy Amsterdam evening, a man handed his partner a small envelope. Inside was a spare key to his apartment. He called it a big step. She nodded slowly. Ask yourself, who decides what milestones mean? She wasn't ready. He assumed she should be. Within weeks, the key became leverage in arguments, used, questioned, resented. The dumb part wasn't intimacy. It was assuming access equals closeness. Because keys unlock doors, not readiness. The relationship ended with the key returned, heavier than when it was given. Fact 39. The joint savings account surprise. At a quiet cafe in Stockholm, a woman slid paperwork across the table on her boyfriend's birthday. A joint savings account, already opened. She said it showed commitment. Ask yourself, why does trust sometimes arrive pre-signed? He stared at the forms longer than the cake. The mood shifted. Conversations turned defensive. Finances became arguments. The dumb part wasn't planning, it was skipping consent. Because shared futures don't start with signatures, they start with agreement. The account stayed open, the relationship didn't. Fact 40. The breakup-proof gift that wasn't. On a snowy evening in Montreal, a man gave his girlfriend an expensive watch engraved with forever. He said it would last no matter what. Ask yourself, why tempt fate with metal? The watch was beautiful, the timing wasn't. Arguments intensified. The engraving became ironic within weeks. After the breakup, the watch sat in a drawer, too valuable to throw away, too painful to wear. The dumb part wasn't optimism, it was certainty, because nothing makes an ending sharper than an object designed to outlive it. Fact 41. The breakup gift that pretended it was romantic. On a warm evening in Atlanta, a woman met her boyfriend at a quiet park after work. He handed her a carefully wrapped box and said, "I wanted you to have this." Inside was a framed photo of them, plus a letter about needing space. Ask yourself, who gives closure with a bow on it? He thought it was respectful. She felt ambushed. The photo became the weirdest object in her apartment, too sentimental to trash, too painful to keep. Friends heard the story and immediately picked sides. The dumb part wasn't breaking up. It was staging it like a gift exchange. Because nothing says it's over like receiving memorabilia and emotional paperwork at the same time. The frame survived. The trust didn't. Fact 42. The gift basket that was really an exit plan. During a Sunday brunch in a small cafe in Dublin, a man surprised his partner with a self-care basket. Candles, tea, a journal, and buried underneath, an envelope labeled "Important Documents." It contained copies of lease information and a moving checklist. Ask yourself, when did brunch become a resignation meeting? He claimed it was planning ahead. She realized she'd been removed from the plan. The basket sat on the table like a cartoon bomb nobody wanted to touch. The dumb part wasn't organization. It was revealing your escape route while pretending it's romance. Because if your gift includes logistics, the relationship is already in the paperwork phase. Fact 43. The forever scrapbook that became evidence. On a rainy night in Manchester, a woman gave her boyfriend a handmade scrapbook titled Our Forever. It was filled with photos, captions, and printed screenshots of sweet messages. He smiled, then went pale. Ask yourself, why does cute start feeling like surveillance after page 10? The scrapbook wasn't malicious, it was just extremely thorough. Days later, during an argument, she referenced specific pages like citations. He stopped texting normally. Then he stopped texting at all. The dumb part wasn't effort, it was intensity without calibration. Because a gift that documents love too aggressively can make love feel like a case file. Fact 44. The couple's vacation that was actually a goodbye tour. At an airport gate in Miami, a man surprised his girlfriend with tickets for a romantic getaway. She was thrilled until she noticed the destination, his hometown, where his family lived, and where he'd been talking about moving alone. Ask yourself, have you ever realized a gift has a hidden agenda mid-boarding? The trip happened, but it felt like watching someone rehearse a life you're not in. The dumb part wasn't travel. It was using romance as packaging for a decision already made. Because nothing hurts like smiling for vacation photos while feeling your role getting quietly rewritten. Fact 45. The gift that ended the relationship in front of everyone. During a crowded holiday party in New York, a man announced he had the perfect gift for his girlfriend. He handed her a ring box. The room erupted, until she opened it. Inside wasn't a ring, it was a note that said, let's take a break. Ask yourself, why do some people choose the loudest possible way to be cowardly? The party froze. Someone coughed. Someone laughed on accident. She stood up, walked out, and never came back. The dumb part wasn't breaking up. It was turning a private decision into public entertainment. Because the worst gifts aren't the ones you don't want. They're the ones that rewrite your life while everyone is watching.
None of these gifts were accidents. They were decisions. Moments where someone thought, this makes sense, without asking who it was supposed to make sense for. A gift meant to motivate. A gift meant to help. A gift meant to show commitment. And somehow, each one landed like a quiet insult wrapped in paper. Because gifts don't just say, I thought of you. They say how you thought of someone. They reveal priorities. They expose assumptions. They announce expectations that were never discussed out loud. And once a gift does that, you can't unhear the message, even if you return the receipt. The pattern is brutal but familiar. The giver explains intentions. The receiver feels judged. The room goes quiet. The relationship shifts half an inch and never quite goes back. These weren't bad people. They were normal couples caught between affection and ego, logic and emotion, love and timing. The dumbest gifts aren't cheap. They're confident. Confident enough to skip listening. Confident enough to speak for someone else. Confident enough to turn love into a statement. And once that happens, the gift is already doing its damage, long before anyone says thank you. Here's the uncomfortable truth. None of these gifts failed because they were expensive, cheap, or badly wrapped. They failed because they said something no one agreed to say out loud. A gift isn't just an object. It's a sentence. And once that sentence is spoken, you don't get to edit it. Some people gave gifts to fix problems. Some gave gifts to speed things up. Some gave gifts to avoid conversations they were afraid to have. And almost all of them learned the same lesson too late. A present can't do the job of honesty, and it definitely can't replace listening. That awkward pause after opening the box, that forced smile, that quiet moment where someone says, "Oh, you didn't have to." That's not about the gift. That's the sound of two expectations colliding. So maybe the real takeaway isn't, don't give dumb gifts. It's this. Before you give something, ask yourself, is this for them, or is this for the version of the relationship you wish existed? Because the most dangerous gifts aren't the ones that miss the mark. They're the ones that hit the truth before anyone was ready to admit it. And once a gift does that, it's never just a gift again.